Well done then. Congratulations to our top three for the National Formula 4 Championship, Tony.
Thank you very much, Josh. And the cars, perfect timing, because the cars are coming towards the red light, ready to begin this 15-minute race. Sidwell on pole with Adrian Bradley alongside him, and Sidwell gets the jump, as we might expect in that Holden. Gets into Paddock Hill Bend first with Adrian Bradley in second place, Rob Burley in third, Martin Reynolds fourth, and Roland Bradley in fifth, and it's Clive Haynsford in the Mazda in sixth, Peter Selden in his red BMW in seventh. And we get the we don't get two Golfs, because we do get starting this one of the retirements from the earlier race, which is the number 7 car of Andrew Mackenzie. That is the white, black and blue BMW, and he has managed to start the race, so that's good, because he retired from the previous one. And as the cars come through to complete their first lap, it is Alex Sidwell in the lead from Adrian Bradley, Rob Burley, Martin Reynolds, Roland Bradley, Clive Haynsford, Peter Selden, and then it is the Andrew Mackenzie car, which I mentioned. We've got Scott in the Golf, we've got Avis in his Golf. Whitehead has managed to start the race this time, so that's good news. That's the 3 of Jacques Whitehead, which is another BMW. Did actually manage to start this race, so we had 12 cars starting. And can Sidwell do it again? Can he make it win number 3? Obviously that Holden has got an awful lot of power, and particularly on the straight bits here at Brands Hatch, he is able to pull away. Through into Paddock Hill Bend he goes, pursued by Adrian Bradley. Then it's Rob Burley in his BMW, but very close behind him is Martin Reynolds in the Ford Escort. Now Martin Reynolds finished 4th in the earlier race, but he is monstering Rod Burley in this one, so it's BMW against Ford, and the ancient Ford Escort, the Mark II in the Valvoline colours, is there in 4th position, but very close behind Rod Burley, so that looks like a good little tussle for the final step on the podium. Meanwhile, it's Sidwell, twice a winner, who leads at the moment. This is a 15-minute race. Across the line he goes, followed by Roland Bradley. Burley and Reynolds close together into Paddock Hill Bend. Then Roland Bradley, and it's the same 3 who had the battle earlier on. Roland Bradley, Clive Haynsford and Peter Selden. They are close together for 5th place. Then it's the 2 VW Golfs who've got together again, which is Avis and Scott. And then behind them, the next car through is the car number 3 of Jacques Whitehead. And that is the fluorescent green BMW, just coming through Graham Hill Bend now. Jacques Whitehead, who didn't manage to start the earlier race, he's there in what is basically 10th position, and he's had 2 6th places so far in this series. Now Selden making a move on Haynsford, and now can he go right round the outside? This was his favourite move in the previous race, and yes, he gets it done again. They're side by side as they go up towards Druids, and under braking Selden just snakes ahead, goes right round the outside and takes the position, and now he'll be off after Roland Bradley. Roland beat him in the earlier race, and I think Peter is thirsting for revenge.
Like the first race, Andrew Mackenzie's headed back to the paddock, so he did a couple of laps working his way through the order, but the car just won't last for very long. New fastest lap for the car in 2nd place, Adrian Bradley. He's only 1.5 seconds behind Alex Sidwell, so he said he needs to go off a bit quicker, and well, he's not too far away at this stage. They're not lapping as quick as in race 1, they're both in the 51s, where they were in the 50s this morning. So whether A bit warmer now, a lot more sunshine than there was this morning. The third position, Rod Burley's still under pressure, isn't he, from Martin Reynolds? You heard there from Rod. He's driven both of these cars, so he knows the advantages of the Ford Escort, the ex-Brown family car. Martin Reynolds seems to get better and better, particularly this year. He's having a good season.
Yes, and I think the range of cars he drives sort of helps him just develop his driving skills. The fact that he can jump from one Ford into another, he's just getting stronger and stronger. So through he goes in 4th place.
Alex Sidwell did a 51.014. Adrian Bradley did a 51.015. So they're separated by 1/1000 of a second in their lap times on that previous lap. Both of them doing their personal bests.
Yeah, so we'll look at that gap. It's 1.5 seconds between first and second as they head through Surtees. And Adrian Bradley seems a lot more close to Sidwell this time. He just seems a lot closer in this race. A lot more able to take the challenge to Sidwell as they flash across the start-finish line, completing 7 laps. Just under 9 minutes of the race left to run.
For 5th position, now that Peter Selden's got past Clive Haynsford, he has caught Ronan Bradley. So they had a good race in the earlier one. I think went right to the end. It looks like they may have another in this one, up towards Paddock. He'll bend massively later on the brakes is Peter Selden, but wasn't quite close enough to dive down the inside into Paddock on that occasion. But he looks quicker at this point, so he may gain that position before the end.
Yeah, Ronan Bradley left the inside open, didn't he, to him? And because Selden actually quite likes going around the outside into Paddock, which is a very brave manoeuvre if you can pull that off. But he only had the inside open to him. He wasn't quite close enough to do anything about it, as Josh said.
Leaders together pretty much now as they complete 8 laps. The gap 0.8 of a second, but particularly at clearways, Adrian Bradley was pretty close, and Holden pulls away down the straight. But then for the rest of the lap, Bradley in the BMW is quicker, but finding a way past, I suspect, may be quite challenging.
But certainly these two much closer together than they were in the earlier race. And I think you can sense that Bradley feels that a victory might be on. It'll be his first one of the season. He's had a couple of second places, well 3 second places so far, and two second places he's had. So he's closing right up on the big Commodore in front of him. Now along the straight, I don't think he'll be able to do too much, but it's through the twisty bits that the 21 BMW makes its or gets the sort of advantage, because I think the Commodore is quite a big beast to hustle around this short and fairly narrow track here at Brands Hatch.
They're going to have that Jack's Whitehead car to lap shortly, one they didn't have to deal with in race 1. Adrian Bradley right up the curves through Graham Hill Bend, putting the power on. You'll see lots of BMWs here next weekend, because there is the ultimate BMW race, courtesy of the North 750 Motor Club. So we'll see lots of BMW M3s here next weekend, including some of the cars on the track today, I suspect. But that shows how quick these cars are, being able to take it up against the fully developed Holden Commodore, driven by Alex Sidwell. They go across the line, gap 3/4 second. They with ease get past Jack Whitehead, with him helping them out, stepping aside into Paddock Hill Bend for 3rd position. Martin Reynolds almost alongside Rod Burley this time. I think at the end of the straights, Rod has a little bit more power.
And Bradley shot it up the outside going into Druids, but he had nowhere to go, so he had to duck back in. So the battles, in fact, we've got 3 sets, haven't we? 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and 5th and 6th. So some great scraps going on, and Reynolds looked down the outside there but decided not to.
Big challenge for the lead into clearway. So Adrian Bradley looked up the inside. Alex Sidwell started to turn through the corners. I think Adrian Bradley ducked out of it, although I suspect the Holden's probably worth a bit more money. It's very heavy, and I'm sure Adrian Bradley doesn't want to clatter down the side of it, so he backed out of there. Still a third of the race to go, and Bradley proving that he appears to be quicker at this stage.
Yeah, obviously the Holden Commodore from the Australian Supercar Championship. It's a bit of a historic machine as Bradley tries to get on the inside through Druids, puts him on the outside for Graham Hill. He's trying to get the cutback, but that Holden is such a big machine, and then once you're on the straight, he can use the power to get away, but they're coming up to a couple of back markers and almost down the inside.
Yeah, he was going down the inside. Alex Sidwell sort of slammed the door shut, and again Adrian Bradley had to get out of it. That's 2 attempts he's had at clearways. That one probably even stronger than the previous lap, but they've got those 2 cars to lap coming up next.
Yeah, and they've just swapped positions because one is lapping the other, and now they're going to be up to those back markers as they get to Druids. Could this be Adrian Bradley's chance as they go into Druids? The Audi keeps to the outside very sensibly, lets them go through, but they've now got the VW Golf to deal with as they come out of Graham Hill. And what is the 45 car going to do? Well, he stays to the right. Yes, very well driven there by the 45. That is the car of Scott.
But Adrian Bradley's gone down the inside and grabbed the lead this time in clearways. So, but will he stay ahead by the time they get to paddock?
Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? Now the power of the Commodore, and Bradley's not trying any trick stuff. He's staying to the outside, but he's still on the outside as they go into paddock, and he takes the outside line and he gets through Paddock Hill Bend in front. Now he's got a couple of tighter corners where he could exploit the nimbler handling of the BMW to try to sort of eke out a bit of a lead before he gets to the straight. Now down they come into Graham Hill Bend, through goes the BMW. Yes, you see Sidwell's not going to be close enough to do him on the straight. He'll close up as they go into Surtees, but Adrian Bradley seems to be getting away now. It's almost as though Sidwell's become a bit dispirited by that manoeuvre, and he can't exploit the power until he gets onto the straight, and this time there's more of a gap, and he doesn't get close to Adrian Bradley as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. I think Adrian might have this one.
He's run wide though.
Spoke too soon. Yeah.
So he's definitely pushing, isn't he, Adrian Bradley? Like you said, Alex Sidwell seems to be struggling. He said Druids was a problem in race 1. You wondered about the tyres on the Commodore, especially on a tight technical circuit like this for 15 minutes, a lot of laps. So it just seems to be getting to him a little bit. Adrian Bradley's held on. There's a Golf to lap. That's the car of Dave Avis, and Bradley tries to take a swoop in line. The Golf is on the apex, so he's going to have to go right round the outside.
Yes, what he wanted was to cut on the inside of the Golf, but the Golf held the inside, probably to stay out of the way. You know, it wasn't that he was being deliberately obstructive, but that was the bit of track that Adrian Bradley wanted. But as we are now into the last 2 minutes, so we've got 2, maybe 3 laps to go. Adrian would hope it's 2 laps, wouldn't he? He's desperately trying to hang on in front of the Holden.
I suspect it's 3, including the one they've started. They did 18 laps in race 1. This is lap 16. They come through Graham Hill Bend. The battles for 3rd position still continues, but Rod Burley still ahead of Martin Reynolds, and for 5th, Pete Selden ahead of Ronan Bradley. They've got a couple of cars to lap as well at Paddock. Adrian Bradley really quick through clearways, and I think Alex Sidwell struggling to put the power down in this second race of the weekend, and Adrian Bradley's lead therefore has gone out with the fastest lap of the race to over a second. He's done a 50.8, the first driver to go under 51 seconds in this race. They both managed it earlier, but in this one only Adrian Bradley's been able to manage it. This will be the penultimate lap with 60 seconds on the clock, and they're already working their way through lap 17.
Yeah, through goes Rod Burley. He's got to lap the Golf of Martin Scott now, and still with Martin Reynolds right behind him in the Escort as they head up towards Druids.
Leaders up towards clearways. They've got Clive Haynsford to lap, who they didn't lap in race 1, so he's had a little bit more of a struggle, I think, compared to this morning too. The last lap board goes out. Can Alex Sidwell get close enough? Because if he is with Adrian Bradley on that final lap, he might be able to power past. They start the last lap now with a smaller gap between them, less than 8 tenths.
Yeah, but Clive Haynsford kept over to the left very sensibly and let the leaders go past. So now they're into Druids, coming down towards Graham Hill, and provided he doesn't throw it off on the last lap, I think that Adrian Bradley's got this one. This will be his first victory of the season after 2 second places, and he'll be very happy with that, I imagine. His Ronan's already got a couple of wins at Thruxton, but Adrian now coming towards the line, coming towards the checkered flag. Number 21 takes the victory from the 340 of Alex Sidwell. In third place, it looks like Rod Burley is going to hold on to it. So the number 44 BMW of Rod Burley is just going to beat the 27 of Martin Reynolds. And then in fifth, it should be the red number 5 of Pete Selden, who comes through to take fifth, having had a race-long battle with Ronan Bradley in the 78 BMW, and this time it is Pete Selden who takes the victory. So a great race that, because we had 3 sets of battles going on for first, for third and for fifth.